Hey guys, Oro here, and last month I was fortunate enough to get invited out to Las Vegas by From Software and Bandai Namco to get an early sneak peek at Elden Ring Nightreign. For this event, I wasn't allowed to record, so the gameplay you're watching right now is provided by From Software. In this video, I'm going to talk about my experience with the game after having played it for a few hours. Now, before we started playing, they had some important announcements to share with us. Number 1, Elden Ring Nightreign releases on May 30th. Number 2, there will be DLC that includes new characters and biomes. Number 3, there will be a collector's edition of the game that includes the DLC and a statue of Wilder, the knight with the grappling hook. Number 4, there will also be a Wilder helmet replica for sale, similar to the Melania and Mesmer helmets. I'm super excited that we don't have to wait too much longer to get our hands on the full game. Anyways, continuing on, I got to team up with two of my friends who just happen to be some of the best Elden Ring players in the world, Iron Pineapple and Lobos Jr. We made one hell of a team and absolutely decimated the entire game. But unfortunately, our event had constant disconnects due to terrible hotel internet. They didn't have time to test it because of a last-second venue change due to the LA fires. It sucks, but what can you do? All the other events apparently ran smoothly and had zero disconnects, so it wasn't the game. Because our event was basically two-player only, none of us were able to beat the final boss. In fact, only 2 teams even made it to him. Our team made it with just 2 players, and another team that miraculously had no disconnects made it as well. At the other events, however, every single team beat the final boss. This really goes to show the power of teamwork, which is why I even bothered to share all of this. This game is clearly balanced around having all 3 players present. Playing and beating this game solo is still possible, but it will be extremely challenging. Teamwork is the name of the game. Communication is key, and sticking together makes a world of difference. We ended up just playing without our headsets so we could communicate with each other in real time. Chatting about our strategies, loot, and attacks was extremely helpful. It was made super evident that this game really rewards teamwork. When all 3 of us were connected and actually able to play, it was a seriously incredible experience. Even with the constant disconnects, we had an absolute blast with the game. It's super fun, challenging, and rewarding. Now, before I talk more about my experience, let's take a step back and ask, what exactly is Nightreign? Nightreign is a roguelike, which is a style of game traditionally characterized by procedurally generated levels, random power-ups, and permanent death of the player character. In a good roguelike, no 2 runs are ever the same. If you played games like Hades, Dead Cells, or Risk of Rain, you understand how fun roguelikes can be when done well. They have near infinite replayability. My hope for Nightreign is that it achieves this and more. Now, when you start Nightreign, the first thing you do is select your character. There are 8 different characters to choose from in the base game, each with different passives, abilities, and dodges that dramatically change how you play the game. With this test, we only had access to 4 characters: Wilder, Guardian, Duchess, and Recluse. Something to note is that you can stack characters, so you can have a team of 3 Wilders if you really want. When you load into the world, you'll get to select where we dropping, boys. I mean, where to land with your team. The idea is to run around the map, kill enemies for runes to level up, equip loot to become stronger, and prepare to fight the boss at the end of the day. There's also a storm that closes in around you that you have to be constantly aware of. If you get caught inside it, you'll slowly take damage. The safe circle closes in around the final boss encounter at the end of each day. If you ever die, you'll be in a down state, and a teammate can lock onto you and attack you to revive you. If you don't get revived in time, you'll bleed out, which will respawn you with 1 less level. Every level in this game is huge, since you can only level up to 15. So bleeding out even once is a huge setback. Also, if you die during a boss fight, you're out until the next day. Reaching the 3rd and final day allows you to fight the big boss that you get to select at the very start of the run. And after completing each run, you'll gain permanent upgrades to make your characters stronger. So that's the basics, but let's talk about the gameplay. Now, this may come as a shock, but it plays just like Elden Ring. Obviously, though, there's some big changes. First off, instead of crouching, your character now instantly sprints as fast as Torrent. In combat, this uses your entire stamina bar, so use it sparingly. Secondly, your character can now vault over obstacles, similar to Sekiro. Both of these mechanics combined made traversing the world of Nightreign Limval, super fun and engaging. Another thing to note is that there's absolutely no fall damage in this game, so feel free to jump to your heart's content. Now the third change is that you now get 2 abilities to use depending on the character you selected. These abilities are on a cooldown, with one of them being a weaker but short cooldown ability and the other one being a strong ultimate ability that takes much longer to charge. These abilities can be activated by holding triangle and pressing R2 or L2. Now these abilities are super fun and powerful, and I found myself using them off cooldown. The ultimate abilities also have iframes, which allow to use them in the midst of combat. Nightreign also features a perfect block and dodging system. I'm not really sure how these work, but I was able to get the perfect dodge to trigger once on Wilder by dodging into an attack. Not really sure what these do yet, but just know that they are present in the game and they're really cool. There are also brand new weapons that each character is equipped by default, which feature new movesets exclusive to Nightreign. On top of that, a few weapons in the game have updated movesets, most noticeable being greatswords. Now, let's talk about the graphics and performance. We were playing on PS5s and the game looked exactly like Elden Ring, which is to say absolutely stunning. Now, also like Elden Ring, it had 2 modes on console. A quality mode with enhanced resolution and a performance mode that prioritizes frame rate. I played exclusively on performance mode and noticed that the game didn't quite reach 60 FPS. Similar to Elden Ring on PS5, it seemed around 50 to 60 FPS at all times, which isn't too bad at all. But I really wish they got a stable 60, especially on performance mode. Please note that this is a super early build of the game, and it's possible that the performance will improve in the full game. Also, this build we were playing was most likely an early network test build that you'll all get to experience in 2 days on the 14th. Now I'm going to go over the 4 characters that I got to play. The first character, Wilder, ended up being my favorite. He's a default badass knight guy with a grappling hook and pile driver. His passive ability allows him to cheat death once per run, which makes him a really safe pick. The grapple did decent damage and could pull enemies towards you or you towards bigger enemies. His ultimate, the pile driver, does a massive amount of stagger damage if it lands. You can also hold it down for incredible forward momentum. The second character, Guardian, was the Burbman with the halberd and the great shield. His passive allows him to do a super block, which allows you to block more attacks without getting guard broken and makes him the perfect tank. His ability allowed him to do a big AoE whirlwind, which interrupted enemy attacks. And his ultimate ability allows him to fly into the sky and slam down upon enemies, creating a massive lingering AoE which boosted defense of allies inside of it. If you like playing tanks and supporting your teammates, this class is going to be perfect for you. The third character I got to play was the Duchess, a character that looks like the Firekeeper from Dark Souls 3. Her passive is that she can dodge twice, making her super nimble and mobile in combat. She can also do an awesome backflip if you dodge backwards, similar to the Darkwood Grain Ring from Dark Souls 1. Her ability allows her to double the damage on an enemy at any given moment, which honestly felt incredibly overpowered with bleed procs and team coordination. Her ultimate ability gives everyone invisibility, which allows your whole team to attack the enemy without aggro for some time. Something to note though, even while cloaked, boss enemies will still randomly try to attack to hit you, so you have to be careful. The final playable character from the test is the Recluse, a female wizard character that we were warned not to play, because just like several Elden Ring players, she forgot to level Vigor. In all seriousness, she is a super complex character with low health and high damage potential. Her ability, however, is incredible. She can absorb any combination of 3 elements from enemies and allies. The element obtained depends on the last elemental hit taken. For example, if you hit an enemy with a fire spell, then use this ability on them, you'll absorb 1 fire token. Then, if your ally was recently hit with a holy attack, you can absorb 1 holy token from them. Then, if you absorb 1 more fire or holy token, the fire plus holy spell will cast a warmth healing spell. There are 14 total combinations that you're able to cast with her ability, each of them being completely unique spells. This is probably the coolest thing in the game, honestly, and I don't even play casters. This ability also restores a large amount of FP, allowing her to chain cast together constantly. Her ultimate ability marks nearby enemies and heals allies when they attack them. She is a super complex and powerful character. Now let's talk about equipment. The weapons and upgrades you find are extremely important to having a successful run in Nightreign. Every single weapon from Elden Ring can randomly drop, although oddly nothing from Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Each weapon has a rarity. White is common, blues are rare, purples are epic, and orange is legendary. There's a level requirement for equipping higher rarities. Level 3 for blues, level 9 for purples, and level 12 for legendaries. You can also upgrade weapons at an anvil with smithing stones if you find any. Anvils are always found by merchants, which will also have some stones for sale. All equipment comes with random ashes of ore and spells equipped on them, which you cannot change. Using them still costs FP, and because there are no FP flasks in Nightreign, you have to rely on running through blue fields to quickly regenerate your FP during a run. These can be found throughout the world. Also, bows have infinite arrows, which makes them extra useful as a backup weapon. Now, each weapon comes with several random passive bonuses that are active whether or not it's actively equipped. Because of this, you need to look for good passives for your character, and even if you don't plan on using the weapon, be sure to equip it for the passive bonuses. You can equip up to 6 weapons at once, and there is no equip load, so don't worry about fat rolling. Certain legendary weapons also come with active bonuses. For example, the Dark Moon Greatsword has a bonus that carrying retaliates every time you attack with it, which allows you to attack and deflect spells at the exact same time. On top of weapons, you can also equip up to 2 talismans as well. Loot is shared, so be sure to leave some items for your teammates and ping the items you think they might need. However, not all loot is shared. When you defeat a mini-boss, a black orb will spawn for all players. Each player gets to interact with it and pick an upgrade out of a few choices. This is often the best way to get huge character upgrades and legendary equipment. Something to note, you can always drop equipment for other players. So if you see something really powerful for another character in your party, you can select it and then drop it for them. The final way to upgrade your character is with these character upgrades. These last throughout the entire run. They often drop as loot after you defeat the main mini-bosses each day. One upgrade can give you extra iframes on your dodges, and another automatically casts Ice Storm when you start sprinting. Now, let's talk about the bosses that I encountered. At the end of each day, the circle closed in around the boss arena. Ads will spawn in that you have to kill before the main boss appears. There was Morgoth the Fell Omen, the Fell Twins, Centipede Demon, and the Draconian Tree Sentinel. The final boss is always the 3-headed Cerberus, the Tricephalus. That's the best you're gonna get. Each boss had new attacks that they didn't have in Elden Ring, to mix up even the most seasoned Elden Ring veterans. Also, the Centipede Demon from Dark Souls 1 was very familiar to fight, had sort of the same attacks, but even he had remixed moves as well. And his boss theme was the exact same as Dark Souls 1, which was super nostalgic. One thing to note is that Morgoth, aside from being a mini-boss at the end of the day, can also randomly invade you during the day and chase you across the map. It's absolutely terrifying. Now let's talk about Nightreign's permanent progression system, relics. After each run, win or lose, you get 3 random relics. However, the better the run, the higher rarity the relics will be. Each character can equip up to 3 relics. Each relic has a color, and each character has color-coded slots. You can only equip runes of the same color. So for example, the Duchess only has 3 green slots, so you can only equip green relics on her. However, there is a way to unlock different color slots for each character, so eventually you'll be able to equip different colors on her as well. If you've ever played Bloodborne and messed with blood gems, this is basically the exact same system. The bonuses on these relics range from really basic stuff, like more % damage of the great swords, to exclusive character-only ability unlocks, like the one I got for Wilder, which allowed him to do a unique attack after he grappled. There was also a unique relic that allowed you to heal your teammates with your Estus Flask, similar to Wide Range from Monster Hunter or Dark Souls 1, where you could heal for your teammates. There was also another support relic similar to the Flask Sharing Relic, except for consumables, which allowed you to designate one player as the designated consumable guy. He would pick up all the best consumables, and in a pinch, he'd use them for everyone around. Really, really cool. So if you really want, you can make a support build, you can make a damage build. The possibilities are endless. This is actually the system that I'm most excited for, and I want to see more. It's going to be really, really exciting to make unique builds for each character. Now let's dive into some more in-depth mechanics that I experienced during this play session. After you gain runes, you can level up at sites of grace spread across the map. This is a one-button action, and it doesn't allow you to allocate any points at all. You just automatically level up depending on how many runes you have. Makes it so you don't have to sit around and think about what your stat allocation should be, and keeps the game entirely gameplay focused. However, something we realized after a few hours of testing is that there are stats, and they do matter a lot. Each character has hidden stats, and certain stats that level up with them. In this test, the stats were not available anywhere. However, at the training dummy in the round table hold, you can spawn in any weapon in the entire game. From this menu, you're able to see the stat scaling of each weapon, which is really odd because you can't see the stats of the characters. I'm assuming that they'll either show the character stats or completely hide the weapon scaling in the full game. The stats were so impactful that Wilder did 50% more damage than the Recluse with a default Claymore. It's obvious that a knight like Wilder should do more damage in his role with weapons than the Recluse, who focuses on spells, but I think it should be displayed in-game somewhere. But knowing FromSoft, we'll probably just have to figure out all this stuff for ourselves. Anyways, I really had an absolute blast playing Nightreign. I'd end up having some major concerns for the final game. The biggest concern I have is that there might just not be enough content and randomness for this to be a successful roguelike. Like I mentioned earlier, each run should feel completely unique, and at least with this test, that was definitely not the case. The area was the same, the drop points were the same, the upgrades were the same, and the bosses were the same. Obviously, this is just a network test and it's meant to be played once or twice, but still didn't instill any confidence that the final game will capture that perfect roguelike feeling. It has the ability to be something incredible, but I left wanting more. I'm certain they'll end up using the 100 plus Elden Ring bosses in the final game, and also that's not including the bosses that they're importing from Dark Souls. We were told that in the final game there's also going to be biome changes and random events occurring, such as volcanoes randomly spawning and an ant swarm just attacking you out of the blue, which is going to definitely mix up the gameplay loop. I'm excited to see all of the variety and what the full game has to offer, but I really need to get my hands on it to make a final verdict on how I feel about Nightreign. But so far, I'm really excited. Now, here are some pro tips for you guys entering the network test on Friday. Number 1, dump your significant other, or duo with them because it's on Valentine's Day. Number 2, always stick together. Ping items on the floor for other players and places to head to on the map. Sticking together not only makes the game easier, but allows you to get all the upgrades found throughout the world. Number 3, prioritize going to churches. They have flask upgrades inside of them and will allow you to get up to 7 flasks. Number 4, focus on leveling and equipping higher rarity equipment. The damage difference between a low rarity weapon and a higher rarity weapon is absolutely massive in this game. Number 5, if you get a stone sword key, be sure to check your map, ping the location, and head to it to get insanely powerful loot for your team. And number 6, if you see an upgrade that automatically casts something when you sprint, grab it. They're super overpowered. So that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed me nerding out about this game. I really had a great time with it, and I'm just itching to get my hands on the final game so I can really see how it plays. I trust FromSoft to deliver a quality experience, and every single game they've put out over the past decade has been an absolute 10 out of 10 masterpiece. So I don't think Nightreign will be any different. Anyways, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Elden Ring Nightreign coming soon. I'll be streaming all 5 network tests throughout the 14th to the 16th, so be sure to tune in for that. And of course, I'll be posting the highlights on YouTube for you guys to watch as well. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace, guys.